Hey guys, Hicks here. I'm gonna give you guys an acting tip today. This is the best acting tip I've ever received in my life, but it was more of a self-revelation I had to learn myself. So, here it is. I remember I was taking these on-camera classes at a place called Pro Actors Lab, and there was a teacher who ran it, David Rotenberg, and he taught Rachel McAdams when she got her breakout in The Notebook, and Scott Speedman, you know, really kind of coached these big actors. And when I was working with him, I moved on to another teacher, Bruce Clayton, and I was just every week it was a 2-camera scene study, so you'd have 2 actors, one running each camera, and usually just a 2-person scene, and you would prepare the scene for 5 days, show up on class, you'd run the scene, you'd film it, and then you watch it back on a TV and you'd talk about all the moments, what you hit, what you missed, are they aligned with the story? And then the next week you would get a second pass at it, so you would get another week to work this scene and then take another pass in the same format. And so it was a great learning environment to spend basically 2 weeks working on one scene, usually 3 to 4 pages in length. And what that allowed me is to experiment, to really just play around, but it also allowed me to dig into the text a lot, to just find all these little nuggets of beautiful little moments that when you first read a script for the first, you could read it 20, 30 times and only still get a surface, but after you put in 50, 60, 70, 80 hours of work into the same script, you start seeing things, your imagination starts coming to life, and all these ideas start coming to you that never came to you before, and I'm like, oh my god, that's great. That's great. Oh, that's interesting. And it's all these layers start building up. And now, unfortunately today, when you're doing TV work and a lot of film work, they give you the script, a day or 2 before you start shooting, and you show up on set. And they're like, okay, let's do a little rehearsal blocking. And you throw it up, you're like, okay, maybe we'll do this, and you're working through it, and then they're like, okay, that's the blocking, let's shoot it now. And you didn't really get time to dig into the material and really bring it to life. So it's so fast these days. So that's kind of a new skill you've had to learn these days, is how to get hyper fast at your scene analysis, and then just to put it up on its feet and to let it come to life. So what I learned doing that 2-camera acting class, I remember one day I had just made the decision. I was doing some roll down exercises and just breathing into my body, into my spine, and you roll all the way down and roll all the way up, vertebra by vertebra. And you just breathe into your spine, it just relaxes you, you bounce. And a teacher, Ray Ellen Bodie, she does voice classes, brilliant. She taught us a lot of relaxation things and how to get grounded and connected. Beautiful lessons. And I remember the one day, I had just made the choice to say, I've done the work, and I'm just gonna trust it. I'm gonna trust that something is gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen. And I threw away all of the work I'd done, all the preparation. If I had pre-planned any movements or actions, or I'm gonna do this on this line, or say this way, blah, 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 I threw it all away. There was no planning in there. I had done all the work, and then I completely forgot about it, and I just walked into that scene, with an entrance of some sort, and I just took in my scene partner. And I didn't pre-plan a thing, and I stayed open, and I trusted. And I basically, what I would say is it's like free falling. You have no clue what's gonna happen. You could look like a total idiot. You could free fall and fall on your ass, and everyone's gonna laugh at you and be like, oh, what a terrible actor, and blah, 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 blah. That's the risk. But when you let go and you completely trust yourself and you say, I don't know what's gonna happen, but something is gonna happen. When you can let go of all of your homework, no pre-planning, no anything like that, and you just show up, and in that moment with that other actor, something happens that never could have been planned. When you're engaged with someone else, something happens between the two of you, and they affect you and you affect them, and it changes all the intentions of the dialogue. And no matter how much scene analysis you do, it still can't be that. So however you're acting with that individual person is going to change everything. And it's the same thing with auditioning. You walk in that room, the audition room, and you have a reader there. If you really truly are, if you throw everything away at the last minute and you just trust it and you walk in that room, you're like, hey, how's it going? Cool. And you see that reader and you really see them, you're like, hey, cool, how's it going? How's your day? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Awesome, great. Let's have some fun together. And then they're like, you ready? I'm like, yeah, great, let's call action. And you're like, I'm just gonna walk into frame, guys. And you just walk into frame and you just kind of, you see the reader and you just start the scene. And it just goes and blah, blah, blah. And something happens and all that work that you've done, it shows up for you. Or it doesn't. And that's the risk you gotta take. So you gotta trust that you've done the work. You gotta trust that all the dialogue and all the lines are up in your head. You can't be thinking about that. You know, you gotta just trust that words will come out of your mouth and those words will make sense. If you're thinking about the words before you say them, you're in your head. So you just gotta let your body basically go on autopilot and things just come out of you and they happen, and those accidents are what get put in the film. All these little accidents that happen, if you were on a professional 3-month movie, you know, you had a 3-month shoot, they're just accumulating a whole bunch of accidents essentially and editing them together to create a performance that you never actually did. So when you're on a TV show and you only get maybe 2 takes, and then they do another setup and maybe 2 takes, and then another setup and 2 takes, you know, you gotta think about continuity. There's room to play in that room of continuity still. You can change your continuity a little bit, but your blocking's gotta stay the same. So you can get away with little things that in the editing room, it won't be obvious to the person watching, but if you're watching a show in slow motion and you watch between the different cuts, you'll see actors doing different things. You don't notice that when you're just watching a show, so there's room for changing in the continuity. I'm personally playing around with how much I can get away with in that continuity. Like, how much can I change and it still edits together nicely? So I'm like, you got to experiment and try things out. But essentially, you got to just let go and free fall and hope that some beautiful mistakes happen, and that's what you see on TV. Now sometimes when you're in a TV show and you only get those 2 takes, you're not going to have as many beautiful editable mistakes to cut together. Whereas if you had 30 or 40 or, as on The Social Network, 99 takes for that one scene, you know, you're going to have a lot more options to cut. And so it's about getting quicker at allowing yourself to make mistakes. So you do all the work, you're doing your scene analysis, you do your prep, you relax, you get present and grounded, you show up, and then you live in the moment with a scene partner. And with your mind empty, it's just gonna be empty, and then things are gonna pop into your mind as you're doing the scene, as what happens in life. You're talking with someone and all of a sudden a thought comes into your mind. And okay, yeah, interesting. Images come into your mind, oh yeah, but they happen on their own. So you can pre-plan all that stuff, you can set all those images up ahead of time, but then let it all go. And when you're in the scene, something new and organic is going to happen in the moment that you could never have planned. And that's what the camera wants to see. Now it's a constant work in progress. I'm constantly working on, you know, better scene analysis and setting up better images and more layers and getting quicker at being more free and, you know, being more dynamic on camera. There's so many things you can work on in your voice and blah blah, and emotional prep and the life and relationships, and so much to work on. So it's a never-ending journey. So you just keep learning, and just these little increments of change over time make the world of difference. So just don't stop practicing. But the biggest key for me is just to let go and to trust that you've done the work and that something will happen. And that will be interesting. So you don't need to put on a show. You don't need to entertain and like overact or overdo this or blah blah blah, or maybe that is what it is. Don't limit yourself. Don't be like, I have to be intense and whisper and say everything like this. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you're talking like this with a higher fluctuation in your voice. You're emphasizing certain words. It's the pacing and the rhythm and the cadence can change, and be open to direction. You know, think of different ways in your scene analysis of how to play a scene, and then let go and let it fly. And yeah, that's the biggest key. That's all I'm gonna say, guys. Try that out in your next acting class. Right before the scene, do some roll downs, get relaxed, and then let it all go. Free fall, and then just show up and be like, hey guys, how's it going? And just be a person. Just be yourself, and something will happen. All that homework will show up, or it won't. But that's the risk you gotta take. Just trust it. Free fall. Good luck. Let me know how it goes, because it is so scary. It's always so scary. It never ends. It's scary, 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 scary stuff. But give it a shot and let me know how it goes for you guys. If you learn anything cool in the process, throw it in the comment box, because I want to learn too. Alright guys, have a great day. Talk soon. Bye.